بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وصلى الله على النبي الأمي برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. خوف سلمان الفارسي رضي الله عنه وبكاؤه على بسط الدنيا. Hazrat Salman Farisi رضي الله عنه's fear when the world becomes so available to people. أخرج أبو نعيم في الحلية عن أبي البختري عن رجل من بني عبس قال, this man from Banu Abs who accompanied Hazrat Salman said, صحبت سلمان رضي الله عنه فذكر ما فتح الله تعالى على المسلمين من كنوز كسرى. So I was with him and he mentioned how Allah gave the Muslims the treasures of Kisra. فقال إن الذي أعطاكموه وفتحه لكم وخولكم لممسك خزائنه ومحمد صلى الله عليه وسلم حي ولقد كانوا يصبحون وما عنده دينار ولا درهم ولا مد من طعام ثم ذاك يا أخي بني عبس ثم مررنا ببيادر تذرى فقال إن الذي أعطاكموه وخولكم وفتحه لكم لممسك خزائنه ومحمد صلى الله عليه وسلم حي إلى آخر الرواية. This riwayah, Hazrat Salman was with the Sahabah who conquered Persia. This was Kisra, the treasures of Kisra. Kisra is the title of the Persian king. His name at this time was Yazdajird. The Kisra before this was Shirawi. There was quite a few. Then was Shirawi. Then was his father who was the famous Kisra, Anushirwan. Very, very famous Kisra. Now when Rasulullah ﷺ sent Sahaba with letters to the world, Nabi ﷺ sent his letter to this very powerful Kisra. His name was Parvez and Khusru al-Thani. He was famous at that title. Anushirwan was before him, sorry. This was a very powerful Kisra. He was the one that tore Rasulullah ﷺ's letter. Abdullah bin Hudhafa Sahmi presented the letter of Rasulullah ﷺ to this Kisra. When he presented Rasulullah ﷺ's letter, we mentioned this last week, then Kisra tore the letter and Hazrat Abdullah bin Hudhafa was sent out of that court of Kisra. As he's waiting outside, he's making shukr. He says, at least I fulfilled my duty. And he returned. When Kisra's anger subsided, because Kisra was very arrogant, what was he upset about was, Rasulullah ﷺ mentioned his name before Kisra's name. Because the letter of Rasulullah ﷺ was enshrined, Min Muhammadin Rasulillah ila Kisra Azimi Faris. He got very upset. Because he thought he's some kind of deity. The position and the wealth Allah gave him got to his head. And he didn't believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They were fire worshippers. He was very upset. He tore Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam's letter. Then his anger subsided. So he sent his men, his soldiers to look for Abdullah bin Hudhafa Sahmi. Hazrat Abdullah was gone already. And he gave the Karguzari, the report to Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam that I went, I fulfilled the duty. This is what happened. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said this is the result of their action, that Mazzaqallahu mulka. Allah will tear apart his kingdom. It wasn't much later. This is in Hazrat Umar's time. It started in Hazrat Abu Bakr's time. Sahaba took Islam into Persia. First Al-Muthanna bin Harith al-Shaybani. Then Hazrat Khalid bin Walid was sent to help Al-Muthanna bin Harith al-Shaybani. Then Al-Qa'qa' bin Amr al-Tamimi radiyallahu anhu was sent to help them. And Islam spread in Persia in abundance. Then before Hazrat Abu Bakr passed away and left this world, Allah inspired him to take Islam further into Sham, Roman lands. That's when he prepared Sahabah radiallahu anhum, Abu Ubaidah bin Jarrah and Shurahbil bin Hasana. Shurahbil bin Hasana saw the dream. And Yazid bin Abi Sufyan. And after that he sent Khalid bin Walid also to help them radiallahu anhum. They went and took Islam into Sham, which was Roman territories. Now imagine, Persia is being conquered. Under who? Because later on, in Hazrat Umar's time, when Hazrat Umar became the Khalifa, he sent Sa'ad bin Abi Waqqas. And the famous battle took place called Qadisiyah. Now every one of us have to study this. As students, we have to read this. How Hazrat Sa'ad traveled and went into Persia. What he did in Persia. As he was arriving, Al-Muthanna was passing away. There's an amazing event where Al-Muthanna gave wasiyah that his wife, after his death and after her iddah, must wed Sa'ad. Now imagine how difficult this is. You want to be with your wife in Jannah. Al-Muthanna and his wife were so close. But he knows his wife knows everything he knows. So she will share the information with Sa'd. So after her iddah, he leaves this wasiyah for Hazrat Sa'd. Now imagine Hazrat Sa'd enters and Hazrat Umar sends him advice and the battle of Qadisiyah takes place. But before the battle, Hazrat Sa'd sends Sahabah to give da'wah to Hurmuzan. Now who is Hurmuzan? Hurmuzan is the commander of the Persian army. Because the army numbering 200,000 arrived. 100,000 people and 100,000 helpers and servants and backup. So Hazrat Sa'd sent Sahaba to give da'wah to Hurmuzan. He was the commander of the army. And then he sent 12 Sahaba in a Jamaat to give da'wah to the Kisra of the time. Who was the Kisra of the time? He was Kisra Yazdajird. Kisra Yazdajird was his title. That wasn't, Yazdajird was his name, Kisra was his title. Now it's so amazing how the Sahaba gave da'wah and their words to Kisra is also documented. So it's so amazing how Yazdajird got very upset with the da'wah of the Sahaba. And then he took sand and put it on the Amir's head. So he asked, who's the Amir? Who's in charge of you? So Hazrat Asim said, it's me. He wasn't the Amir, but he didn't want the sand to go on anybody's head. So he took the sand on his head and he said, this is a good opportunity. We take a good omen, a good sign from you. Allah will give us the land and these lands will get hidayat. But who did Hazrat Sa'd send on the other side where the army of the Persian army was? The commander was Hurmuzan. So the first day, Hazrat Sa'd sent a Sahabi by the name of Rib'i ibn Amir. I'm giving a little extra because we have the special Jamaat here. So this is a few minutes extra, alhamdulillah, for our special guests. Rib'i ibn Amir radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. Now Rib'i ibn Amir goes to meet who? The Persian commander. He was very powerful. He was known for his fame. He is on travel, but he's traveling with so much of opulence and glory. Hazrat Rib'i enters the court of Hurmuzan. And as he enters the court of Hurmuzan, it's historically mentioned how he wasn't affected by their gold, by their luxuries, by their pillows. And he comes right in front of Hurmuzan. So Hurmuzan says, what do you all want here? Why have you all come? You know what he said? Ma ji'na ilaykum. We haven't come. Allahu ibta'athana ilaykum. Allah has sent us to you. لنخرج العباد, and the other report of Hazrat Rib'i's words are لنخرج من شاء من عبادة العباد إلى عبادة رب العباد ومن ضيق الدنيا إلى سعتها ومن جور الأديان إلى عدل الإسلام فأرسلنا بدينه إلى خلقه لندعوهم إليه. A quick translation of what he said is, we haven't come. You telling me what has brought us here? We haven't come on our own. Then why have you come? Who sends you here? What do you want here? He's telling the simple Sahabi who's dressed in Sunnah. And Sunnah is beautiful and simple. He says, Allah sent us to you. Why has Allah sent you to us? Allah sent us to give da'wah to His creation, to take you and all of mankind out of the servitude of creation into the servitude of one Allah, to take mankind out of the constrained, depressed life of this dunya. So he's telling them, you living this luxury, but you're not happy. Min diqid dunya. This worldly life is depressing. Ila sa'ati dunya wal akhirah. To show you the vastness of this world is when you have deen and the everlasting life of akhirah. Wa min jawril adyan. Allah sent us to take you out of the unjust system of this world. Ila adalil Islam, into the justice of Islam. Allah sent us with His deen to His creation. Linad'uhum ilay, to give the whole world da'wat. Allah sent us for da'wat. This was the first day. Hurmuzan was riveted, was shocked. He said to his men, after Hazrat Rib'i left, what do you all think? They said, look how he dresses. Because Hurmuzan was a thinker. He said, don't look at how he dresses. Look at what he said. The second day, because Hazrat Sa'd gave them 3 days respite. The discussion is lengthier. The second day, Hurmuzan writes to Sa'd, send me that man again who you sent yesterday. I want to meet him again, because Hurmuzan was inspired.
who does Hazrat Sa'ad send? He sent a Sahabi by the name of Hudhayfa. Hudhayfa bin Mihsan, radiyallahu, not Hudhayfa bin Yaman. He also became, later in life, he passed away in Iraq and Persia. But on this occasion, the second day was Hudhayfa. Pronounce Sahaba's name correctly. Not a Za, but a Dhal. Sahaba's names. Hudhayfa bin Mihsan, radiyallahu anhu. He comes in front of Hurmuzan. Hurmuzan says, I didn't send for you. Why you came? He says, Amir Saab sent me. He says, what is your message? You know what Hudhayfa said? When he asked him, why have you come? He said, we didn't come. Then who sends you? He says, Allahu ibta'athana ilaykum linukhrij al-ibad min ibadati al-ibad ila ibadati rabbil ibad wa min dhiq ad-dunya ila sa'ati ad-dunya wal akhirah wa min jawr al-adyan ila adl al-islam fa arsalana bidinihi ila khalqihi linad'uuhum ilayh. What's so marvelous? The same words of Rib'i radiyallahu anhu were the same words of Hudhayfa. This was the CV of Sahaba. What Sahaba was sent for? To save the world and rescue the world. That there's no Nabi to come, give the whole world dawat. This is what Sahaba was sent for. Allah give us the understanding that we are sent for dawat. This is throughout the Quran Sharif. How to give dawat, when to give dawat, to who to give dawat, what to say in the dawat, what to do whilst going to give dawat. All this is detailed in the Quran Sharif. To finish off our incident, on the third day, who did Hazrat Sa'ad the Amir, the commander, send? Now, Hazrat Sa'ad is Rasulullah's mother's family. Very great Sahabi from Ashara Mubashara. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Hazrat Sa'ad sent, who did he send? Hazrat Sa'ad sent, that day, Mughira bin Shu'bah radiyallahu anhu returned from the Jamaat that went to give dawah to Yazdajird. He returned. So Hazrat Sa'ad said, you will go today, Mughira. And look at Hazrat Mughira radiyallahu anhu's strategy. He goes. When he comes there, he comes right in front of Hurmuzan. You can see his tactic and his strategy was all so wise. He sees the throne that Hurmuzan sits on is so huge. He goes there, he sits right next to Hurmuzan. So the guards come and pull him off and throw him on the ground. So he said, you all called for me. I am your guest here. Why do you throw me down? And there's so much of space. Where you want me to sit? Then he said, by us, the Amir and the Ma'mur sit together and we eat from the same plate. See Hazrat Mughira's strategy. And what was interesting, Hazrat Mughira was speaking in the language of the Persians because he knew the Persian language. He was dahiya, he was brilliant, and his brain was remarkable. And then his target was to work on the slaves, the masses, to show the downtrodden, ill-treated Persians that see how the Persians are treating you. They are oppressing you. So he's telling them that by us, everyone sits together because everyone is equal. We love each other and we are together. And subhanallah, from here, lot of the local Persians who were ill-treated by their Persian commanders embraced Islam through the method and the dawat and the hikmat of Hazrat Mughira bin Shu'bah and the other Sahaba radiyallahu anhum. So that's what I wanted to share with you. Look at Sahaba radiyallahu anhum. Afterwards they won the battle, and that's when Hazrat Salman was crying. He said, don't think you have money, it means success. That's not success. It can't give you happiness because there was a lot of booty. So Hazrat Salman was. So last thing I would tell you, Hazrat Salman is the longest living Sahabi. His name was Madha bin Budhikhshan radiyallahu anhu, the longest living Sahabi. And Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam named him Salman. Hafid ibn Hajar says, and it's Sahih. You know Hafid ibn Hajar. He says no less than 250 years was the lifespan of Hazrat Salman. He wasn't the last Sahabi to pass away, but his lifespan was the longest. The last Sahabi to pass away in this dunya was Abu Tufail Amir ibn Wathila radiyallahu anhu. He passed away in Makkah Mukarramah, 110 Hijri was when he passed away. In Basra was Anas bin Malik radiyallahu anhu. In Egypt was Abdullah bin Harith bin Jaz radiyallahu anhu. In Kufa was Hazrat Abdullah bin Abi Awfa radiyallahu anhu. In Yemen, the last Sahabi was Abyad bin Bayda radiyallahu anhu. In Khurasan was Buraidah ibn Husayb radiyallahu anhu. And Sahabah radiyallahu anhu took deen to the four corners of the world. So you and I have a great responsibility. One is our responsibility is to the Muslims, and that we do in Jamaat 100%, and we do in Ta'aleem, and we do in the Maktab, and we do in the Darul Ulooms 100%. But Allah Ta'ala sent Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam for the whole wide world. وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا رَحْمَةً لِلْعَالَمِينَ. And in South Africa, Muslims are 3%. All our efforts in our Jamaat and our Maktab and all our efforts, our Ta'aleem is upon our 3%. What about Rahmah lil Alameen? That's why as students of Deen we have to learn, yes, not in the Jamaat time, but we have to learn how to take Allah's Deen to the non-Muslim. Don't wait for them to come to us. Go to them. For this we need to learn courage and ask Allah Ta'ala to accept us and give us hikmah. Wherever the Quran Sharif speaks about da'wah, it's about non-Muslim, most of the ayat. Ud'u ila sabili rabbika bil hikmah. Most of these ayat. Qul hadhihi sabili ad'u ila Allah. Wa man ahsanu qawla. This is da'wah to non-Muslims. And also Muslims can also be incorporated and understood in the context of the verse. Even kuntum khayra ummah, Maulana Qasim Sima rahmatullahi would tell us, look in the context of the verse. It's discussing Christians. Walu amana ahlul kitab. So don't confine it to Muslim. That's why respected beloveds, we all have to learn how to share Allah's deen. Look at it this morning, just after Maghrib, I picked up two brothers who played soccer. So I told them, come with me, where you all stay? Come, let me show you all the masjid. They were playing for a Muslim team, but no one offered them to pray. I offered them, they came here, I put a student with them. They said they want to be Muslim. All it takes is offer. Give the message. Humanity is waiting. Will we all try, inshallah? Let's benefit from this Jamaat they're here, they're spending tomorrow, inshallah. Jazakumullah khairan. Wa sallallahu ala nabi bi rahmatika ya rahman.